All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the imho.love show. I'm Lou Angelwolf, and we got a full studio tonight. Of course, our co-host Murburg.
Yeah, hey Lou, nice to see you again. How you doing?
You look great, buddy.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
You need to get your glasses checked.
That's why I wear the low riders. And of course, our producer Kathy McGuire.
I have no mic tonight.
Oh, that's okay. Now she wants to talk. All right, we got a special guest in the studio with us tonight. He's a okay. So you got to turn the sound down. There you go. Well, that'll throw me off listening to what I just said.
My apologies.
No problem.
Parallel universe.
Yeah. Yeah. Our whole world's on a 5-second delay. One of my comic buddies, and I just had a pleasure of working on a film project with Rio Paris is here.
All right.
Yeah, buddy. There you get right there, man. And,
Hello.
There you go. You looking good. You sounding good.
Thank you, brother. You as well. Everybody here.
Yeah, we're
Excited to be here.
as well. We should be. The imho.love show is, in my humble opinion, .love. We're here every Wednesday night at 7:30 on the Tan Talk Radio Network, local AMs, local FMs, tantalk1340.com, imho.love, BitChute, YouTube, Facebook Live, hi Facebook Live, hi YouTube. There everybody is. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, Mr. Murburg. Anyway, Rio and I had a great time over the weekend. We worked with a producer, Joey G, and we worked on a sitcom pilot that, from what I understand, HBO has some interest in.
Yeah.
And I had a fantastic time on the set.
Me as well. Yeah, no, it was very fun. It was my first time doing anything on a TV show.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that the film crew was great. I thought everybody in the cast was awesome. So, and it was good to see comics that, I'm fans of be a part of the project as well. So.
Sure. Yeah, we had a great time. We worked with Johnny Bell, who's on 102.5 The Bone. Really cool guy. And of course, our comic friends.
Catherine Maloney, Ron Hortman.
Yeah. Steele, Stacy Steele. And
Chris Mattson.
Chris Mattson, so damn funny, man. And Jason Blunt or Brunt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, what a great crew. And I had an extraordinarily busy week. I did 4 comedy shows, and then I had to be over the weekend. I worked Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, and then I had to be on set at 6 a.m. on Monday.
Yeah.
I was a little tuckered out, and I didn't have my lines down perfect, but we shot first thing in the morning and a couple cups of coffee. I got it. I got it. It was fun, But
they got to write a comedy show around you. I can see you as like the father who's been running a car repair shop for 40 years. He's got a couple of kids about college age, and they come in to see him and talk to him about this worldwide wisdom stuff. And at the same time, he's got like eight clowns working the base. I mean, it's kind of like Taxi, but it's the repair shop behind Taxi.
Hey, you know what? I'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, concentrate on the positive,
That's right.
So anyway, well, we had a lot of fun with that, and I hope Joey G and that production company, who was awesome, everybody was just so good, and I hope the show gets picked up. Yeah. And if I'm in it, great. If not, I just hope the project gets picked up.
Yeah, and that's a very positive take.
You had a cool part in that. The show's called Advisors, and look for it. You'll get some releases off of my Facebook page, some notices. It's called Advisors, and what it is, it's kind of like there's a TV show called The League. It's kind of The League meets Wolf of Wall Street, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it's a financial advisory firm. And you played a rapper who just got his big contract.
Yeah.
And the way they wrote your character was cool. It's like you were like wandering around the office just rapping about everything that you saw. Do you remember anything that you laid down?
No, I don't.
And he says he doesn't smoke pot.
Yeah. Well, not anymore, but the amount I did definitely contributed to my lack of memorization.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I get it. That's, you know.
Well, yeah, I was watching a lecture, not a lecture, but what's the guy? The name of the guy who plays Iron Man. And
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, and he goes, you know what I used to do is I used to do it mnemonically, and I'd write down the first letter of every word that I had to memorize, and the day before, and I'd go in and I'd have it down that way. And he goes, that's one way I used to do it, but then Rogan goes, well, how do you do it now? He goes, I got an earpiece. They're just talking into me. And it's like, that's what I'm doing. So you look at, wow. He goes, you going to change? He goes, yeah, maybe someday, but this is the way I'm doing it now.
Wow.
Yeah. So
they tell him the line and he says the line.
He just says the line.
Wow.
That's how the last Iron Man was done.
Oh,
Wow.
goodness.
Holy cow.
He might have been smoking. I'm about to say.
Hey, you can smoke as long as you can listen. You don't have to read.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, guys, my memory's kind of leaving me. Can you just feed me the line?
I need an earpiece.
Yeah. that kind of breaks my heart a little bit. But
You don't
okay.
need to know your lines anymore, Lou. You just got to show up.
Yeah, well, I did that. Well, anyway, that was a fun weekend, and
Yes.
it's good to be here. Hi, Vaughn. Vaughn's our board op tonight. Good to see you, brother. This is the 29th of January, 2020. It's been a hell of a month, man. I didn't know January had 53 days in it. This is the longest month I've noticed in a long time.
Yeah, it's a leap decade.
A leap decade. Well, anyway, there's a lot to talk about. In fact, Rio and I were sitting up the other night at a radio, doing a radio show, and we were waiting to go on. And he and I just got on this like stream of consciousness about everything that the imho.love show is about. Of course, we cover CE5, which is human initiated contact experiences. That's where we meditatively create an energy as a group and we send it up. And our star family sometimes communicates back with us, and we have visions and sightings and communications and healings.
Speaking of which, I asked Leroy to give us a call. They had a craft come in, a slow walker stop, and then turn its lights off, and he hit it with the laser a couple times, and it did a nova back a couple times. This was in front of a large group at Bach Tower this last weekend.
Wow!
So he had amazing results with the core members of the group that showed up at Bach Tower. We also had the CE5 at Darby Ranch, and the results were pretty good. They were appropriate, a bunch of newbies, but it was nice to meet some really spiritually refined people and teach them how to do it, and then get some results.
That is the beautiful thing about anybody that I've found involved in the CE5 or the HICE movement, which is human initiated contact experience. They're wonderful people. I mean, they just have a genuinely soft soul and this willingness to learn, and I think a lot of them, as we've all had to dwindle down our ego some to accept this new information.
Okay.
To think that, you know what, I think I know a fair amount, but I'm still teachable. And when you can get there, you will become teachable.
Yeah. If you're the smartest of the species, you're in the room with the wrong species.
I like that. That's true.
That's good, man. That's real good.
Always, I agree with that. Remaining teachable is extremely important because at no point I don't think anyone should ever feel like they know everything.
No. That'd be a bad mistake.
Yeah. And there's so much to learn, things that can really expose you to the world that we're really living in. And if you miss that, if you start missing out on that knowledge and you just continue to be a so-called sheep or let's just say a programmed individual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is no good.
Well, we've all chosen to run through our own version of this maze or the matrix or however you want to put it. But what's happening to a lot of people as we awaken as a group, we're going, this maze that we've been running on since the Anunnaki programmed it into us. I mean, we literally were brought here as a workforce.
Right.
That's why even if you read all the scriptures of every holy book, it all mentions and emphasizes work. And we are trained.
And the escapees all made it to Puerto Rico.
Specifically mine.
Just in time for the earthquake.
Yeah.
But breaking away from that worker mindset, okay, and then when you start to delve into your creativity and your exotic mind, I like to call it, that's when you find out that all this work really isn't what we're supposed to be doing, because our minds are so powerful, but the work keeps us like in a box. It keeps us confined because we're constantly working instead of imagining and creating and theorizing and speaking and communicating and expanding and going on and on and on. I guess that's why guys have radio shows.
Well, I mean, if you were only intended to do mining, but you do, because from my understanding, everyone looked the same as well. So that's a very boring existence as well. So that, from my understanding, became very frustrating. Let's say i.e. the caveman. So if everyone looks alike, so here comes the great flood, and now we enter a world where people look different now, and you start to learn more about the world and what you're capable of.
Yes.
So just like a whole bunch of dumb cavemen fighting with one another had to come to an end.
Over fire and women.
Yeah.
Fire, women, and food.
Well, what you learn from contact work is that the human species is only one of a number of human or human-like species that exist throughout the universe.
Yes.
I mean, that's not a supposition. That's just real. And if you think differently, just wait, and eventually all the proof comes to you. So, I mean, we're not conspiracy theorists. We're conspiracy humorists. So,
yes, that's the new phrase. We're gonna start tagging a lot of our stuff with conspiracy humorist.
Yes, I mean, hey, factual didn't cut it. I mean, they're conspiracy factualists. People don't see any humor in that. So,
Yeah,
dude. Almost every fact is written in pencil. It really is.
Well,
I mean, there's some things that are historically provable, but at any point. Once you start saying what that person was or who that person was or how they acted or behaved, it definitely slides into opinion. Okay. And there's never a point counterpoint in our history books. There's always, you only get one angle on it. And as we know, as we've watched wars century after century, the victor gets the history.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's not the Mandela effect. It's the fact that they continue to change the history to meet the political narrative of the time.
Yes.
And that's the danger of it all. Because if you don't know what your history was or is, you're going to keep on making the same mistakes. And that's exactly what they want us to do, because look how far we've gotten. We're still working every day. We're still being taxed. We're still poisoning ourselves with the chemicals in our food, the chemicals in our water, the chemicals in our ground. We're letting corporations buy our water from our politicians. It's all bought and paid for. And if you want to keep on living that life and subjecting yourself and literally placing yourself on the wheel to be broken, continue to live the way you are. If you don't want that anymore, you got to change your mind, and you got to change your tact and change the way you live your life.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful, man. And it should be a well enough motivation for us to move along. And what we were talking about before we went on the air, where this conspiracy humorist thing kind of dives in, is all of us here, I would like to say, have an accelerated sense of humor. And we love sharing it with you, whoever's tuned in. And if you find something funny, man, that's even better. But Mike, we talk about this all the time, that the humor and the laughter is a display of a higher level of consciousness.
Yeah, it's lightheartedness.
Lightheartedness. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Lightheartedness. And this is all stuff that we've known for a really long time that, you know, I mean, I always hang around with the funny kids in class. I was always in their group.
Right.
Or maybe I was even the leader of their group from sometimes.
There you go.
Maybe I was. I don't know. I don't know how funny I was. I was 12. But I've always had that. And I was raised that way. My mother is a really funny lady. My dad was a very funny guy. And my family has enjoyed hours and hours of laughter. My brother Keith is just one of those guys that can literally put me on my knees. Just stop. You gotta take a knee and breathe. You know, dude, no more. And we've just literally laughed.
He's got to be a character in this.
Oh, absolutely, sure. He owns the garage down the street. But it's an amazing energy flow, and what it does, and I know Rio, you experienced this as well. When you're a funny, happy person, you attract the most wonderful people. I mean, because people want to be around you,
absolutely,
and they want to share their wit with you. And you know, and Mike, you have the kind of sense of humor that I really love. It's intelligent, it's dry, and then occasionally you'll just whip out a fart joke like a shuriken and throw it across the room. It's really great. It's high lowbrow humor.
I know, and I have absolutely no respect for authority, which makes it work.
Beautiful.
You ain't the boss of me. That's our next show. You ain't the boss of me.
There we go. Who's the boss spin-off?
That's the Puerto Rican guy.
Puerto Rican's taking shot number 2 for tonight.
Hey, look, if Dave Chappelle could do it, why not? He opened the door.
There we go.
He's got a great joke. He says, I'm African American, and I married a Filipino, and I just don't understand how my kids turned out to be Puerto Rican. That's a great joke.
I tell you what, Chappelle, you know, I think he's one of the most brilliant comics working today. I don't know if he's solely writing his material or whether he has. Well, he's got to have a.
I hope so. The idea is that he is. That's the popular consensus, that he writes his own material.
Those the last set of specials that he put out, like the last 4 things he's put out, are really brilliant. And the sleepy one, I think it was part 3 of the. I should have the names down, but I didn't know I was going to cover this tonight. Where he's kind of sitting he's playing the belly room at the Comedy Store, and he makes mention of some Illuminati kind of stuff.
He alludes to it.
He does.
And you know, like the
bird effect. Is that what it's called? The bird revelation.
The bird revelation. Yes. Very good. He kind of nudges about, you know, these the Hollywood producers and the sex, the level of sex and perversity that is there, and of course the casting couch, which we all kind of have known about forever and a day.
Yay!
You know, it's really, I mean, it's.
How else are you going to perfect your fly fishing technique?
The casting couch is a dream come true.
But I'll also. Not to defend any of those guys, those guys that wielded their power over women for whatever. 2 things. A lot of times, you know, if the girl's innocent, I feel bad for her. If she really was like completely blindsided by it, you know, and there are those people. There are people that aren't expecting that at all.
Absolutely.
But really, almost any kind of savvy actress is going to understand that there's a reason that her career is moving forward.
Yeah, and they
in some cases,
and they know the reason why.
And men, powerful men, get sex. I mean, it's just the way it goes. There's just no 2 ways about it. I mean, literally, back even the caveman days, like we were just talking about, the guy that brought home the yak. The guy that dragged the yak on 2 sticks.
Right.
Got a chance to put up with it when he got it home.
That guy, when he brought home the yak, he had a good night.
Yeah.
That night.
With a woman that looked just like him.
Right. Hey, Mom, come on over and get some more of this yak. you might do out tonight, too.
It's funny. We read a lot of history here, obviously. One of the things that I've read about a couple different times is how long people used to go without a bath.
Right.
Like they say they would only bathe a few times a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know how sex was even possible.
Yeah.
You mean
you've never been that horny? Come on,
I've never been that horny.
Is odor a learned is sense of smell? Does sense of smell change over time? How the effect that an odor could have on you, what it would prevent you from doing?
Well, the grooming. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I suppose my olfactory has been groomed to like a certain level of scent.
Right.
But somebody that only bathes twice a year, they're going to have a completely different level of scent.
Yeah. What made me think
go on.
What made me think about what you're saying is I have twins. I've definitely passed gas with both of them like around. I think as any parent has.
Sure.
You can't just go gasless around your children, and there's zero effect. But if I'm around an adult and that same smell, they smell the same thing, a reaction is coming. So
that's interesting. Yeah. It's
Are you warning us?
No crop dusting.
No crop dusting. That's funny.
And for the show, the director goes, "Come on, guys. Oh my goodness, man. Hey, no crop dusting."
No crop dusting. That's a good one.
Very funny.
Wow, yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, there's a comic, Grant Turner. We had a funny conversation online one night. He's the guy that does Ricky Mokel.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that?
Ricky Mokel.
He's a character, and he's like a savant kind of guy. And not an idiot savant, but just like a guy, like a redneck savant.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a great character. It's a great character. And we were just talking about, gas in its most organic form is like, people are really fascinated with that whole thing.
Yeah.
Just that passing of air through a sphincter just becomes like a party. It's just a myriad of information.
It ain't a party until you've lit it.
So it's, and I can't, one of the strongest laughs in my act is a fart joke. So
there you go.
You can't, there's just something about it.
Fart fascination.
Yeah. There's something about that little port back there that just dispels some funk.
Maybe the sound. The ones with the sound are the most fascinating. Hence the whoopee cushion, right?
Yes. Yeah. The Whoopi Goldberg cushion. But anyway, so yeah, in that beam of information,
you just gave me a whole new vision of The View.
The view from behind. Just big giant booties on secretary chairs, just fouling the air.
How do you know?
Whoopee beer fart would probably clear a room.
Yeah.
But anyway. And that's what I was saying. And so I know, I do a big bit about grooming in my act too. So obviously, we've become more in tune. Either our senses have become more acute, and we, little hints of this and that, and of course, if it's happening to your body, there's a reason for it.
Yes.
It's trying to protect you from something. Our body's always on high alert, but maybe back then, just that level of grit. And there's also, there's studies too that like people that work in dirt, they are generally healthier than those of us that live in these very sanitary environments. Go ahead.
Okay, during World War I, the men who dug the subways when they were sent in the trenches.
This is New York, you mean?
Yeah. It was. I'm sure Michael can comment on that, but there's stories about the men who dug the subways and then were sent off to fight World War I. The way they could do the trenches was they had that ability because they were used to the dirt and the net. But you take someone from a desk job and stick them in the trenches, it's like, ew. And I'm sure there was a lot of crop dusting in the trenches. Not to make light of the World War I, but I'm just saying, you put a bunch of guys together and it becomes a contest.
And I would imagine after a while it just becomes an accepted thing.
Definitely.
There are segments of the population that don't care about it at all.
Yeah.
But Europeans are way less uptight about it.
Oh yeah, no deodorant, hairy armpits.
Yeah, passing gas as they walk by.
But there was a caveman that was like, "Come on, Mary, it's been 5 months. Come on, I was wanting to make love to you tonight."
And with the amount of fur people had back then, you just had to smell like an old rug after a while.
Women,
if you got yak, you got game.
Your tuck. Go get another yak. Go get another yak. Fellas, I got to tell you want to score with the ladies? Get a yak. Drag a yak home.
Yeah.
Like a Ferrari and a gold American Express car, platinum American.
Yeah,
there we go.
That was yesterday's yak.
Yeah.
But well, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the imho.love show. We got about 3 minutes before we got to go to the regular news. And they just play just my classic thing on the news was a few weeks ago on the show. We did a show on Christmas Day. Okay. And the leading news story off of the feed was not, in Christmas spirit, a guy gives a $2,000 tip to a waitress in Fort Lee, New Jersey. That wasn't the leading story. The leading story was some guy that came in with a knife and stabbed his family. Yeah. That was the first thing you heard.
Right.
Merry Christmas. 4 people dead in Philadelphia.
Brought to you by the same people that brought you Reefer Madness.
And that's true, man. The media groups that control all the stuff that we watch. There's like 6 groups that control almost everything you see.
Right.
And they have a lot in common, each one of them.
Yes.
Do you think they're all Zionists?
No, they're all sponsored by the same corporate interests, DuPont, Dow, Monsanto, all those guys, and we can talk later about it. We were talking earlier this week about, how the hedge fund managers are the ones that are controlling trillions of dollars worth of investment. That's why we're creating business models that keep people sick so that big farm can sell them money, because if you cure people, there's no money in it. I mean, that's the kind of nefariousness that's seeped into our society, but we don't care to see it. We're not realizing what it is. And they've taken us so far away from what I would call our hemp roots that we don't even know that we can't, that we used to make our own medicine. We used to make our own fuel. We used to make our own food, and all the wealth that land used to have is now gone, and it's owned by corporate interests and shareholders who are all ganging together on Wall Street and places like that to make us the product.
Yes. Well, that's why you have a birth certificate. You are a traded commodity.
Correct.
And you wonder, the United States has been bankrupt since like the 30s.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've had this compounding debt. That's why we're at 22 trillion now or something.
22 trillion.
And we are the ones paying that debt.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, there are blocks of people that are represented for debt repayment, or actually all we're trying to do is maintain the interest on these loans.
Yeah.
And at 22 trillion, there is no surge of business that can save us.
It's never getting paid.
It's never getting paid.
It's the friend that owes you money that it's like Bronx Tale.
It's like that buy here, pay here Toyota Corolla that quit running.
Yeah.
It ain't ever getting paid for.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the imho.love show. I'm Lou Angelwolf, Mike Murburg here. Rio Paris, our special guest here with Kathy McGuire as well. We've got to go to the regular news and play some ads, but we'll be back in about 6 minutes, and we're going to miss you while we're gone.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
WZHR, Zephyr Hills.
FM 104.3.
Listen.
Democratic manager Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren argued not punishing Trump for obstructing Congress punishes lawmakers responsible for keeping the president's office from getting too powerful.
To avoid accountability by simply refusing to provide any documents, any witnesses, unlike every single president who preceded him, we're opening the door not just to eliminating the impeachment clause in the Constitution. Try doing oversight.
Republican Senator John Barrasso is hopeful the fight over additional witnesses will end quickly.
I am committed to go to the end of the day on Friday and cast a vote to say I'm ready to go to final judgment. I don't see a need for any additional witnesses. America has heard enough.
And a Friday vote on witnesses is expected. I'm Barbara Cusack. U.S. Customs and Border Protection announced the discovery of the longest smuggling tunnel ever found on the southwest border. It stretches more than 3/4 of a mile from an industrial site in Tijuana, Mexico, to the San Diego area. The tunnel raised questions about the effectiveness of President Trump's border wall, as the tunnel was 70 feet underground. 2 people were critically injured as residents raced to the rooftop of a 25-story high-rise apartment building in Los Angeles after fire broke out on a 6th-floor balcony. As smoke billowed through the upper levels, Fire Captain Eric Scott said rescues were carried out.
We did utilize multiple helicopters and also with our partner agencies, and were able to perform vertical rescues and hoist 15 people off of the roof, bring them to a nearby helipad at the VA hospital for any further care.
Stocks closed mixed, the Dow adding 12, the S&P dropped 3, the Nasdaq up 5 points. I'm Barbara Cusack.
And now, a page from the Diary of Flo.
Dear Diary, there's something about protecting people's homes through Progressive that inspires me, because I just had an idea for a book. Well, it was originally an idea for a movie based on a play inspired by a podcast, but the idea is how you can save when you bundle home and auto. Might not be the best idea for a book.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive.
Maybe a radio commercial? Guess we'll never know.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Hey, check out this report of our Office 365 email and the threats sitting in users' inboxes.
Wow, how did you get this?
There's a free tool called Barracuda Email Threat Scanner that can quickly and safely scan our Office 365 email for hidden threats like spear phishing and domain fraud.
Really?
Yeah, Barracuda Email Threat Scanner identifies hidden threats and employees most at risk for a cyber attack, all summarized in a complete report.
This is great.
Get your free email threat scan now at barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Hello, this is Prior Smith speaking from Toronto, with an invitation to all vacationing Canadians to join me at 9 a.m. and 12 noon each day, Monday through Friday, for Canada Calling, the news from home, in Clearwater on WTAN, AM 1340 and 106.1, in Dade City on AM 1350 and 102.3, and in Zephyr Hills on WZHR, AM 1400 and 104.3. That's Canada Calling, back for another winter season on the 10 Talk Radio Network.
Must see at least once in your lifetime. Shen Yun 2020, returning to the Mahaffey Theater, St. Petersburg, February 14 through 20. Shen Yun Performing Arts brings the 5,000 years of civilization to life on stage. Come and witness the majestic culture's return. Tickets at shenyun.com/FL or 888-974-3698. If you would like to become a wholesale buyer of the premium quality longevity product that you hear about right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network, for personal service, you can pick up the phone right now and call Lola at 727-441-3311. Again, that's Lola at 727-441-3311. Or for even faster service, log on to tantalkhealth.com. That's tantalkhealth.com. Here's to your health and longevity.
Listen to the latest pet trends with benefits on the Pet Buzz every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Join pet trendologist Charlotte Reed and veterinarian Dr. Michael Fleck as they talk all things pets, from animal health and wellness, money-saving tips, celebrity gossip, breaking news, and more. Their expert guests are in the know and in the now. To learn more about this unique program and its hosts, tune into the show on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
The Florida Strawberry Festival 2020. Our perfect vision for music and family fun. February 27th through March 8th. Oak Ridge Boys, Rascal Flatts, Tommy James and the Shondells, Michael Ray, Roots and Boots with Aaron Tippin, Sammy Kershaw, and Colin Ray, 98 Degrees, Bobby Bones and the Raging Idiots, Reba McEntire, Neil McCoy, Patty LaBelle, Sarah Evans, Skillet, Chubby Checker, Josh Turner, The Golden Boys with Frankie Avalon, Fabian and Bobby Rydell, Mercy Me, Jimmy Fortune with Daly and Vincent, Darcy Lynn and Friends Live, Charlie Wilson, Eli Young Band, Leonard Skinner, and more on the Wish Farm Soundstage. Advance tickets are on sale now at flstrawberryfestival.com. That's flstrawberryfestival.com. The Florida Strawberry Festival 2020. Our perfect vision.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the second half of the imho.love show. Lou Angelwolf, Mike Murburg, Kathy McGuire, and our special guest this week, Rio Paris. Good to see you, buddy.
You as well.
Nice to sit next to you and
yes, sir.
Talk the madness.
Absolutely.
Yes. And, folks, thank everybody that's tuned in. Kathy's got the screen away from me today, so I can't even see who's on. But thank you so much for tuning in. Kat Carroll, I'd like to personally thank you very much for just giving us information throughout the week, sending me links of points of interest. And yes, it is interesting that we're always kind of interested in the same things. So, in fact, on the break, we were just this new coronavirus. Tom Rhodes came up with a line about it. He goes, it's the only virus in the world that's a little bit better with a twist of lime.
There we go.
But anyway, and the big rumor is, and I don't know whether it's true. I certainly can't. And that's the thing. That's why the show is called, in my humble opinion,
right?
.love, because all of this is an opinion. I'm not stating any facts, and facts are so flexible and erasable and, perceptual.
Yeah.
But there's a theory going around that perhaps this virus has been invented by the Chinese.
Ooh.
And yes, and don't forget, you do have population control, which is one of the things that the New World Order or the Illuminati has been pushing for many, many years. So if they need to eliminate a big chunk of people, they know how to do it.
Yeah.
They don't want to eliminate them. They want to sell them vaccines because it's the business model of the world corporations that run the petrochemicals, that you put chemicals into the food and water that make people sick so you can sell them the pharmaceuticals that make them live. So you're basically charging them the price of life. So if they can make $1 billion out of creating a virus that's going to take millions of people out, they'll do it because they do it every single day in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just takes a little bit longer. This way, it's a faster profit.
And it's always man-made.
Yeah, it is. It's and that my dear friend Debbie, who has the Lyme disease.
Oh man!
But she's been struggling with it for years.
Well, maybe she should get some Corona.
So,
that's funny, but I'm not gonna laugh. It's Lou's friend.
It's sick humor.
That was dark.
I do not know Lou's friend.
She is a precious angel.
I believe that.
My bad.
And that's okay. A joke is a joke is a joke.
That's right.
Joke. Yeah. We don't take each other seriously. Sorry, Debbie. But she's a spiritual partner of mine. We pray for each other daily, and there are times that her prayer life is big. Her vibrations are great.
Yeah.
Her frequencies are mellow, and she feels totally normal. But that's the weird thing about this disease. It literally is like the hardest thing to keep in balance. You go a little bit out this way on your diet. You go a little bit out this way on medicine. You go out, you don't stay hydrated enough. You don't have enough of this vitamin. And then it slips back in. She goes, 6 months out of the year, I feel like I have the flu.
Well, even Lyme disease is there. That's been credited to a government operation that produced the disease. So they screwed up in Florida too. As the University of Florida created the love bug, which basically creates jobs for people who do paint jobs on cars front ends every year because they rot the fronts out of cars.
Invented by the automotive refinishing industry.
That's right. If they had only known beforehand, they could have made a profit on the paint shops.
They when they create a virus, It's a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing for them financially, just the amount of profit that they're able to make.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too when you realize the size of some corporate structure / profits. So when you find out how much something actually costs.
Oh wow. Well, that's why. What's his last name? Shrekley, the pharmaceutical guy that's in prison right now. That bought the Wu-Tang album. Something Shrekley was charging like $800 a pill.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was just blatant. But I'm talking about legitimate business that happens every day.
Yes.
Like for instance, there's a local Florida company. I'll just make it that vague. There's a Florida company that makes a artificial heart device that goes along with a artificial heart or a pacemaker. When you have that kind of operation, this element that this business makes, it dead cost on this element is a little over $5. They charge $5,500 in the operation to do it.
I believe that.
To put that part in. It's kind of like an orifice valve on your air conditioner.
Yeah.
You know, when your AC isn't flowing, you need to replace that orifice. It's like a little filter.
Yeah.
It's like this little filter thing. They cost about $5 to make. Even with all the pharmaceutical exacting technologies, still around $5. $5,500 as part of your heart work.
Look at those margins.
Well, here's what I just looked up. In between 2012, 2016, 4 years where the rate of inflation was under 2% a year. So it gives you 4 years. So there should have been an 8% increase due to the rate of inflation. Insulin went from 13 cents per unit to 25 cents per unit. That's almost a 100% increase in 4 years.
Wow.
And that's only why? Because they could do it. And they did do it. And they continue to do it.
Yes.
It's craziness.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. Well, I do understand. I don't want to understand, I think is what it is the level of greed of men and women or corporations, whatever. And that's what we were talking about before the break. Mike and I had a conversation over the week, and I often look at the world as a pyramid.
Okay.
And those of us listening to the show, unless you're a secret agent, are at the base of it. We're the workers, we're the constructors, we're the labor. Okay. We're the widest part. We are the base. And as you go up that pyramid towards the top, then you run into corporations, and then you run into banks, and then you run into companies that maintain resources, and then way up towards the top as you're heading for the divine families of the universe monetarily.
Yes.
Okay. You start finding these hedge funds.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're encouraging the merging of all of these companies, like Monsanto merged with Bayer, or let's say Bayer here in America.
Yeah.
A Bayer, which makes a huge conglomerate, and they needed to kill the Monsanto name but Bayer really isn't much more integrous than they are.
Yeah.
So it's like the lesser of two evils. And then they combine,
realizing that Bayer was the maker of Cyclone B during World War II.
Yeah, what was that?
That was allegedly put in the gas chambers to delouse the prisoners and to kill them if you buy into the gas chambers. But yeah, that's what is blamed for that's how they killed people.
Yeah.
So you got Bayer combining with Monsanto, and that's what petrochemicals do: is they kill people. They infect our soil. 50% of the chemicals that we use and 50% of the the bug sprays, the chemicals that kill the bugs on the crops for the GMO are used on cotton crops. I mean, when we used to have hemp, now we use it on cotton. So we allow cotton to become king. We allow the petrochemical companies like Monsanto and Bayer, who during wartime created chemicals to kill people, and now in peacetime they create chemicals to kill bugs that get into the water supply that end up killing people. And at the same time, you got Monsanto who's killing people, and then you got Bayer who's selling aspirin. So not only are they killing people, but they're selling them the cure.
Yeah.
That's the business model.
But that is as so-called evil as that sounds and corrupt, it really is a genius business model. Only because the people aren't aware that that's what's actually occurring.
We did the same thing with OxyContin too. They, the owners of OxyContin developed a remedy, an antidote to it, and they patented it, and that's what they have. So now, if you want to get off your OxyContin, you got to buy the antidote remedy from the same people that sold you the drug to begin with.
Wow,
beautiful! It's beautiful because heroin in pill form is a game changer. Yeah. Not everybody wants to put a syringe in their arm, but you will take this pill because that's a very simple thing to do.
Right.
And once you swallow it and you become addicted to heroin, now you're really going to have probably the hardest fight of your life.
Oh yeah. Well, many years ago, I had a real bad car crash in 91. I crushed my pelvis. I got 11 rods holding my pelvis together, and my right knee's all reconstructed. But, I made my peace with God during that trauma. And so it served its purpose.
And he made his pieces with you.
Sometimes he throws you on your back to make you look up. And
couch.
And as this went on year after year, I had pushed my femur through my pelvis, and I squished out all the cartilage in that joint. And about 11, 12 years after the accident, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'3". I'm always 250 plus or right around there, maybe more. And I have a lot of weight rests on your pelvis. And I was in so much pain. I was walking on a cane. And then I finally had a hip replacement due to my dear friend and ex-wife, Renee. And I had a hip replacement done. But up to that point, the doctor had given me, I was supposed to take 4 oxycodones a day and then 2 somas at night to go to sleep. I mean, I had these owl rings around my eyes. I could only work about a half a day. I mean, I was just beat.
Yeah.
Man. And then after I got my hip replacement done, the day I didn't have to take anything, I didn't, and I haven't taken anything since.
I like that.
Yeah. So I really, really felt like a slave to it. But when you're in pain, you want the pain to end.
Right.
And a lot of people take, I had a friend pass away. He was on Xanax as a muscle relaxer.
Yeah.
Okay. Ran out of his regular prescription, went on the street for it.
Yeah.
Bought a cockeyed version of it made with fentanyl.
Right.
And it cashed in all his chips.
Right.
He died that night, after going on the street for a $20 drug fix.
Not cool. How smart is it to have a pill that people can take for anything?
Yeah.
That's you can't sleep. You have trouble focusing. You're in pain from a surgery. They have medication for you to take for any situation that you find yourself in. Erectile dysfunction, here you go. And they know that people all over the world are going to be dealing with these things because within the food and within what people are consuming drink-wise, they know for a fact what the result of the food and what people are drinking is going to cause.
Right. You're exactly right on that. And what a lot of people don't know is inside the cans that you have if you eat canned food, the white lining in the can is notorious for leaking out a molecule that mimics estrogen. The same thing with the disposable squishy bottles that pollute the atmosphere. Same thing, that biodegrades into a chemical that is and mimics estrogen. So all of a sudden, you have testosterone levels in males who are 50 now that used to be the testosterone levels in males who 50 years ago who were 70. Right. And 50 and 30, and it's across the board happening in the world. People like an easy fix, and there's not really an easy fix. You get somebody with back pain, instead of say, "Hey, dude, you gotta lose 40 pounds, and then you got to do sit-ups, and you got to get on a bike, and you got to walk, and you got to take care of yourself." They don't want that. They give me a pill. I want this pain to go away. They don't want to. They don't want to live the life they're supposed. They want convenience, and convenience eventually buys you an early grave.
Right.
Well, and that's that's one of the main motivating factors of doing this show is that Mike and I have noticed all these dichotomies and dead end roads and misinformation and glossing over of facts that we're trying to pull some of this stuff back up and let our audience, whom we love, and we're so grateful that you're here, or we wouldn't do this at all. That a lot of the stuff that you have, the maze dulls you as we run through this. We get tired, man. And we just, we see something on TV that says, "Oh, it may decrease my Crohn's syndrome, but
it'll kill you.
It triples my risk of having a stroke."
20 side effects are named in the commercial, and people still say, well, the worst part about those commercials is talk to your doctor to see if so-and-so is right for you.
Right.
Did you hear what they just said is going to cause? Do you really need to talk to your doctor?
Yeah, but your doctor has got to put you on it, because how else is he going to get the kidney-shaped swimming pool built into his backyard by the pharmaceutical companies?
This is true,
And the doctor was just visited about 2 weeks ago by some really cute pharmaceutical rep who just didn't wear underwear that day. But somehow he now has a poster of his new favorite drug in his office.
Right. And they give people in the school system, there's incentives for them getting the children to take certain medications. They actually get checks for that. So they're speaking with the parents saying, "Hey, he's not paying attention. We really think this would be good for him." So once they convince the parents that they need to be on insert whatever medication to keep the energy level down or start them to being able to be more focused, the parents get paid money, and the teacher or the principal or the counselor is also getting paid for putting this child on a medication, and the child definitely didn't even need the medication. They're being misdiagnosed.
The disease is called being a boy.
Right.
Sure. We're rambunctious.
That's the easy.
Bored. Or maybe they're or maybe they're bored in a school system that teaches you to be like everybody else, and you're different and you think outside the box. Now all of a sudden you're bored out of your mind because you're learning how to take a test and you know all the information already. So now you're a problem. It's just they want you to be this like everybody else.
And like everybody else, 80% or more of the teachers, especially at the grammar school and the middle school levels, are women. So young males don't have role models or other males to teach them how to act, put them in their place, and learn this stuff. So we have a society that's out of control because the needs of young males are being ignored. And that's why the suicide rate of young males in the last 35 years has tripled.
Absolutely.
Triple, 300%.
Oh, man.
I believe that. And then in the so-called African American community, the government has convinced all of these women through paying for Section 8, through paying for let's just say government assistance, that the government has replaced the male in the household. The government assistance is the new father. So that was also a plan and intentional. Along the lines of what you're saying with the teachers being females, now boys are being raised in a home where the male is absent.
Well, what they've managed to do is expand the African American model of slavery to everybody in this country, not just African Americans.
Sure.
And you got to see the model to understand that. And once you do, you realize that we aren't enemies.
Yeah.
Our enemy is out there that's telling us we are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. and like we started the show, it's our Anunnaki programming that makes us, there's something that innately gives us this will to work.
Yeah.
And I work. I mean, I work a couple of different jobs. I'm a hustler, baby. I'm out there, man.
Yes, sir.
I ain't gone to bed hungry in years and years. And years. But
I can tell, man.
Can you tell?
There we go.
You're looking better, though, dude. You're losing weight. That's good.
I got 12 pounds off.
Good for you.
Well,
I got 12 pounds since the third.
How does it start? So you're in school, you have homework. So the word work is now instantly put into your mind. So you have homework. You're going to school for a certain amount of hours every single day. You have to get up. Once you're out of school, you've already been programmed to be on this schedule, and they leave you and when you work, you don't have time to focus on what's going on in the world, because you have to focus on work for as long as you're there. And then if you have a family, you have to cater to your children. You have to cater to your wife or your husband. So there's very little time. They've made it to where through school and through having a so-called 9 to 5, that people are meant to not think about the world, and they will fill their minds and their lives with various forms of entertainment, that being video games, television, or just surfing the web. And they're not going to be researching anything that is going to stimulate their mind. They're going to be engaged in something that's going to take their mind off of what they're doing at least 5 days a week, that being working at a job or attending school.
And you can't afford to buck the system either, especially if you got kids, because it's basically akin to, some gangster saying, I got a gun to your kid's head. Start working and paying me, or your kids are going to be dead and on the street.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing.
That's children. That's vaccines for children. There's states where where they're making it mandatory for the child to be vaccinated, or they can't go to school. So what is a parent to do that has to go to work? What choice do they have other than to get their child vaccinated?
Oh, I know.
Right.
And if all the kids are vaccinated, why are they worried about a kid that isn't?
Right.
Because they won't be able to make a profit off of that child when they find out there's so much mercury in the vaccination that it's causing all these diseases later in life, because none of this has been researched.
Right. Of course. And I call this the Cracker Jack reward system.
Yeah.
Candy-coated popcorn, peanuts, and a prize.
I like it.
That's what we get with the candy-coated popcorn, peanuts, and a prize. That's what we get. Our life is a damn box of Cracker Jacks, but we sacrifice all this precious time.
Yeah.
It's like my son Isaac, who, he's my next breath, but he's 20 years old. And I remember when he was about 10, we would just go on these long walks, and there was this creek over by my old house, and we'd just go there and talk and hang out and throw rocks in the water. And it was some of the most golden times in my life. And when I get away from all the electronics, my phone, my electronic leash, my computer at the house. I mean, I even made the deathly mistake of putting it in my room. But that's, but I turned it off at night. I turn everything off at night. But, that if you have that feeling inside that you're missing something, you are.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's very simple to get, it's a long road, but it's a simple answer. You just need to get back to what is real, back to what is love, back to what is innocent.
Yeah.
And that's what, a long walk on the beach, just an actual walk is good for you.
Wow.
And that's what this show is about. That we do believe that love is the most powerful force in the universe, and it will always survive.
Mm-hmm.
It might lose some battles, but it's always going to win the war.
Yes.
And so the restoration of innocence is one of the most joyous things to see. And folks, we are out of time. I'm Lou Angelwolf, Mike Murburg, Kathy McGuire, our special guest, Rio Paris. Brother, it was beautiful hanging with you, man.
Vice versa.
You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you all so much.
DisabilityAttorney.net, and peace to you all.
Yes, that is true. That's the sponsor of the show is DisabilityAttorney.net. That's Disability Attorney.
That's okay. Just thanks for the deduction.
That's it. You got the deduction. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great week, and we love you. And remember what we always say here: use your head, but trust your gut. Good night.
Good night.
Dying, and I don't really care if it keeps you finding dying.